Here's something that's always on my holiday gift list: wine. Fortunately, today's video is sponsored by the legends over at Bright Cellars, who want to help you get your vino on without ever actually having to leave your house. Brilliant. If you're like me, you probably like discovering new wines to drink and enjoy, and there's actually something that Bright Cellars is particularly good at. They scour the globe looking for hidden gems across many small vineyards that line the Italian countryside or the South American highlands. And Bright Cellars maximize the chances that you're going to love the wine they send you by providing you with a super short 7-question quiz about what you like. No snobbery, very accessible, and they show you a list of wines from around the world that you're most likely to enjoy based on your responses. When you're done, Bright Cellars sends you some wine with a guarantee that you'll like it, and if you don't, they'll ship you another bottle with your next delivery, so you can't lose. What else? Well, you could choose how much they send, and of course it's all delivered to wherever you want it to go, making everything super easy. Each box is recyclable with a low footprint and features wine education cards, so you can learn a little bit about what you're drinking, like how you might correctly pair it with foods or what temperature it's best served at. Right now, as part of a holiday deal, Bright Cellars is giving you 50% off your first 6-bottle box plus a bonus bottle. That's 7 bottles for just $45, which is a crazy good deal. So if you're like me and love a good glass of wine, you can follow the link in the description below to get started with your preference quiz. And now today's video. If you're the sort of person who spends a lot of time staring at old buildings, you may have noticed a strange symbol cropping up again and again. A bundle of rods bound together with crisscrossing straps, often topped by an axe head. This motif shows up just about everywhere, from theaters to universities, courthouses, and government buildings, to the flags, seals, and coats of arms of countries like Ecuador, Cameroon, France, and Cuba, and organizations like the Knights of Columbus. Yet, for all of its ubiquity, this seemingly innocuous symbol actually has a dark and controversial past. Known as the Fascist, it is the symbol which gave us the name of the authoritarian political ideology known as fascism. And from the 1920s through the 1940s, it was the primary symbol of Italian dictator Benito Mussolini's fascist party and several other groups who emulated his regime. So why is such a symbol still prominently displayed on flags and public buildings the world over, and why did it not gain the same notoriety as the other prominent fascist symbol, the swastika? The fasces, or more correctly pronounced Fascist, means bundle in Latin and is thought to have originated with the Etruscan civilization which occupied the Italian peninsula from around 900 to 27 BCE. The earliest known example is a miniature iron version dating from the 7th century BCE, excavated from an Etruscan tomb at Vetulonia. The fasces is believed to have been used as the symbol of power and authority by Etruscan kings, with the bundle of rods symbolizing the concept of strength through unity. For while a single rod can easily be broken, a bundle of rods bound together cannot. Like many aspects of Etruscan civilization, the fasces was later adopted by the Romans, who called it the bipennis and refined it into a powerful political symbol with its own elaborate set of meanings and rules. The classic Roman fasces lictori measured around 1.5 meters in length and consisted of 13 birch or elm rods or virgae bound together with crisscrossing red leather straps. The single-headed axe was bound in among the rods, with the blade protruding either out of the top or the side of the bundle, while a central handle protruded out of the bottom to make the whole affair easier to carry. In this form, fasces served as symbols of a Roman magistrate's power and jurisdiction, and were carried by an attending corps of subordinate officials known as lictors, the number of lictors and fasces corresponding to the rank of the magistrate. The lowest ranking officials, curule aedles, were allowed 2, propraetors 5, praetors 6, proconsuls 11, consuls 12, and the highest rank of magistrate, the dictator, a full 24. Roman emperors often decorated their fasces with a laurel wreath, especially during triumph ceremonial processions celebrating military victories. And according to Roman soldier Cicero, lesser regional magistrates were not even permitted to display full fasces, making do instead with a bacilli, a smaller version with only 2 rods and no axe. While on official duty, magistrates would be preceded by their lictors, who would announce his arrival and remind those present of his authority. When one magistrate met another of a different rank, the lictors of the lesser magistrate would lower their fasces as a form of salute or deference, and when a magistrate died, he had the exclusive right to include fasces on his tomb. Conversely, if a magistrate was convicted of a criminal offence, his fasces would be ceremonially broken to symbolize his disgrace and loss of authority. By the time of the Roman Republic, from 509 to 31 BCE, the fasces' meaning had expanded beyond the original Etruscan concept of strength through unity and came to symbolize its bearers' judicial power or imperium via their ability to mete out corporal and capital punishment. This often went beyond mere symbolism, as magistrates could and often did physically utilize the birch rods of their fasces to flog petty criminals and the axe to behead more serious offenders. Really. As the Roman Empire expanded across the classical world, the fasces became a feared symbol of conquest, with Julius Caesar carrying one through the streets of Alexandria in Egypt after defeating his rival Pompey. Closer to home, fasces displayed in public areas were often primary targets of vandalism by angry mobs during periods of civil unrest. But there were limits to the power of magistrates, and when carried within the Pomerium, the traditional boundary of the sacred inner city of Rome, all fasces had their axe heads removed. This was to symbolize that within the cities the power over life and death rested not with the magistrates, but rather the Roman people and their assemblies, and that every citizen had the right to launch an appeal or provocatio against a sentence of death. During times of emergency, however, the Republic could choose to elect a dictator who held absolute authority and whose lictors could carry bladed fasces even within the sacred Pomerium. Long after the fall of Rome, the fasces persisted as a symbol of state authority and imperial power. Over time, however, the symbol became more closely associated with the Roman Republic and the concept of justice, and was widely used by nations and other groups seeking to emulate the Republic and its ideals. Following the French Revolution, the First French Republic adopted an official seal bearing the figure of liberty, holding the fasces, and a coat of arms displaying the fasces topped by the Pharyngian cap or pileus, the brimless hat worn by freed Roman slaves and a traditional symbol of liberty. This same image appears in the modern-day coat of arms of Cuba. The First Republic coat of arms was redesigned in 1905 by painter-engraver Maurice de Meyer and features the fasces surrounded by olive and oak leaves representing peace and justice, and a scroll bearing the Republican motto Liberté, Fraternité, Égalité, which, while never officially adopted by the French government, a modified version of this coat of arms bearing the letters RF for République Française still appears on modern French passports. Another country which aspired to emulate Roman Republican values was the United States of America. As a result, the fasces, along with many other neoclassical motifs, appeared everywhere in American government architecture and iconography. Among other places, the symbol can be found above the doors of the Oval Office, flanking the podium in the United States House of Representatives, atop the dome of the Capitol building, and on the official seal of the United States Senate and the United States Tax Court. The symbol is also widely associated with President Abraham Lincoln and his 1862 Emancipation Proclamation, and is prominently featured on the armrests of the Lincoln Memorial and on the Emancipation Memorial in Washington, D.C. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, however, the fasces began to take on a more radical meaning, especially in Italy, where the derived term fascio, meaning bundle, came to be used by various revolutionary movements to mean group, union, or league. This use of the term first appeared in Sicily, where in the 1880s a number of revolutionary, democratic, and socialist movements known as Fasci Siciliani sprung up across the island. Composed mainly of poor tenant farmers and sharecroppers, for 5 years, from 1889 to 1894, the Fasci fought for higher wages, fairer rents, and land redistribution until the movement was put down by the mainland Italian government. But the revolutionary connotations of the fasci stuck, and the symbol was widely used by various independent nationalist groups, both in the lead-up to and the aftermath of the First World War. Among these scattered groups was the Fasci di Azione Rivoluzionaria, or Revolutionary Action League, founded in Milan in 1914 by a young journalist named Benito Mussolini. In 1915, the leaders of the various fasci met in Milan and agreed to join forces, creating a national organization which in 1919 became known as the Fasci Italiani di Combattimento, or Italian League of Combatants, and in 1921 the Partito Nazionale Fascista, or National Fascist Party. In 1922, following his infamous March on Rome, Benito Mussolini was appointed Prime Minister of Italy by King Victor Emmanuel III. Within 5 years, Mussolini established an absolute autocracy and declared himself Duce, or Dictator of Italy, and the terms fascist and fascism became indelibly linked with right-wing authoritarianism. Mussolini saw his new fascist Italy as a spiritual successor to the Roman Empire, and thus appropriated a great deal of Roman iconography, including the aquila or legionary eagle, the Capitoline wolf, the senator's Populsque Romanus or SPQR motto, the raised arm Roman salute, and of course, the fasces. The flag of fascist Italy comprised the traditional Italian tricolor with the fasces superimposed over the white center stripe, while the flag of the National Fascist Party featured a black background. The color black was widely used in fascist iconography, most famously by Mussolini's paramilitary, the Black Shirts, who participated in the 1922 March on Rome. This was, in turn, inspired by the elite World War II Italian shock troops known as Arditi, who wore black uniforms to symbolize death. The fasces were also prominently featured on aircraft of the Italian Regia Aeronautica Air Force, on Mussolini's personal monogram and tomb, and dozens of public buildings constructed during the fascist era, including the Foro Mussolini, now the Foro Italico in Rome. Several other groups who sought to emulate Mussolini also adopted the symbol, including Oswald Mosley's British Union of Fascists, which used the fasces as their primary symbol before switching to their more iconic flash and circle. Following the Nazi invasion of France in 1940, the collaborationist Vichy regime of Marshal Philippe Pétain also made use of the fasces with a double-headed axe, or Francisca, derived from Pétain's personal banner. Mussolini's fascist regime began to crumble in 1940 as Allied forces steadily pushed their way up the Italian peninsula. On July the 24th, the Fascist Grand Council dismissed Mussolini as prime minister, replacing him with Marshal Pietro Badoglio. Mussolini was arrested and shuffled between various secret locations before being rescued by the Germans and installed as leader of the Italian Social Republic, a Nazi puppet state in the north of the country. The end finally came for Il Duce on April 28, 1945, when he and his mistress Clara Petacci were captured and shot by leftist partisans in the town of Guilino. Yet, despite its intimate association with Mussolini's 23-year reign, the fasces never acquired the notoriety of its more infamous cousin, the Nazi swastika, or Hakenkreuz. The symbol continues to be prominently displayed on public buildings, flags, and crests around the world, with few being aware of its dark past. The most common explanation for this is that the symbol has simply too long been associated with Republican and democratic values to be tainted by its brief association with Mussolini. However, the swastika was also a widespread, innocuous symbol long before its appropriation by the Nazis. Originating in Indian Hinduism and Buddhism as a religious icon in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the swastika became a popular symbol of good luck, being widely used on clothing, jewelry, architecture, and as a company trademark. Several sports teams and even 2 towns in New York State and Ontario, Canada, were even named after the symbol. A more plausible explanation for the fasces' lack of notoriety is that Allied propaganda during the Second World War tended to focus far more on Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan, with Mussolini's Italy often being depicted as the ineffectual third wheel of the Axis tripartite pact. The average Allied citizen was thus likely far more familiar with the swastika than the fasces as a symbol of hate and tyranny. Unfortunately, the fasces as a hate symbol appears to be making something of a comeback. In many Western nations, the open display of Nazi flags and symbols is banned, forcing many neo-Nazi and white supremacist groups to use more obscure symbols such as the flag of pre-Nazi Imperial Germany and the fasces. According to the Anti-Defamation League, Youth for Western Civilization, Southern White Alliance, Vanguard America, Patriot Front, and the National Socialist movements are among the many American ultra-right-wing groups which have used the fasces as part of their iconography. This all goes to show that symbols are mutable, ambiguous things, and whether a given symbol represents justice and democracy or hate and authoritarianism very much depends on who you ask. So I really hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below. Don't forget to subscribe, and as always, thank you for watching.